Hi. It is so nice to see you again. All right, allow for me to set the scene for the video that you're about to watch. It was the end of summer and we had just finished building our new truck, Jolene. Oh, and by the way, this is Jolene. Anyways, so fall was setting in and we had yet to spend much time in this truck and we were feeling really ready to change that. As we hit the road, the truck wasn't the only thing that was new to us. We had recently completely overhauled our camera system by switching from Sony to Fuji. I got a new medium format camera, 35mm camera, and we upgraded our drone. So needless to say, we were very excited to get out and test out all of our new cameras. And last but not least, meet our cat, Boo. This was our very first trip on the road with her after we adopted her. All right, you ready to go to the back? Even though it was a whole lot of new, I think that we were feeling very ready to shake things up. All right, without further ado, we hope you enjoy. Boo is not the first cat that we have had with us. Yes, I'm talking about you on the road. We have experience with an older cat, but we had never had a kitten on the road, and we were pretty excited to see what that process was like. So shortly after we got Boo, we just decided to take it slow for the first couple of days. We didn't venture very far, and we did a couple of nights camped in an area that we're very familiar with, and we tried road walking. It was really fun to explore camp with her and slowly introduce her to the outdoors, because really and truly, I think that that was some of the first interactions that she had had with being outside. Things that we noticed immediately are that she is very athletic. She has a real affinity for climbing trees. It doesn't matter how sharp they are, including yuccas. And she really instantly took to going to the bathroom outside. Road walking, on the other hand, is going to need some work. After we decided that Boo kind of had a handle on things, we decided to move into the Mojave, and I was getting the opportunity to shoot some of the very first shots on my new medium format camera. And one of my favorite first shots is Boo inside of this massive Joshua tree. And again, she was just so into climbing trees. As soon as she would see one, she would go sprinting across our campsite and straight up the tree. And I somehow managed to capture that on film. And at first glance, you don't really see her. But then when you zoom in, there she is, up in the Joshua tree. After leaving a new area of the Mojave that we had never been to, we decided to head up towards the St. George area, just trying to transition into a different type of desert. Real big suckers for the red rock in that area. We found a very, very lovely camp spot out on the edge of a cliff line, and it was so good that we just felt the need to sit still for a couple of days and really take it in. And also, you know, Boo, we wanted to take it slow for her. It did not take but 2 weeks, maybe, for Boo to realize that outside is life. I think that maybe because Luna, our previous cat, when we took her to the road, was 8 years old, we thought that it would be a slow break-in period. That is not the case for Boo. Boo was like, I'm in, you've shown me everything I need to know about the outdoors, and I love it, and this is all I want. She became so motivated to be outside. She would just sit at the door and yell if she was not outside. If we were outside and she wasn't, that was not okay. It was very funny to see just how deep and how hard and how quickly she fell for being outside. But if Owen and I wanted to be outside without Boo, all windows, all doors, all curtains had to be closed, or else this would happen. Boo, boo, boo. Hey. No. It was nice to have a few days of sitting still with one landscape in front of us to experiment with all of our new camera gear. I was primarily focusing on the Mamiya 7. Very large, beautiful negatives come off of that camera, which is what I personally was the most excited about. There's just a je ne sais quoi to the medium format images I had just been really wanting to dive further into. And so the Mamiya 7 was the camera that I had been lusting over for my upgrade, and to be able to have such an incredible landscape at my disposal for the first couple of days using the camera was really special. It's just such a cool way to see the world. I think that my draw to film is just this feeling that it captures. It feels like film captures the world the way that it feels to me. For a very long time, we have wanted to go to Kodachrome Basin State Park. It's an area that we've been through so many times that it's almost embarrassing that we haven't made it there. But for whatever reason, timing hasn't worked out. But this time, we were able to make it happen. So we just decided to take the day, hike around, see some of the features. I don't know what it was that I really had envisioned for Kodachrome State Park, but I think it kind of blew my expectations out of the water. On just a short couple of mile hike, it felt like we saw so many different types of terrain all packed into one area. And it's really famous for its sandstone spires, which are suspiciously phallic looking. Little insight into who we are as people and our very childish sense of humor. But while we were out there, I got to test out yet another new camera to me, which was my Voigtlander Bessa R. My friend Amy of Ty Loops Fly, she has a Bessa, and I have had the privilege of seeing her shoot with it and the images that she's gotten off of it. And I love the size, which is always great for backpacking. So I ended up with a Bessa R, and this was my first opportunity to really take some images with it, and I got a lot from that day in the park that I'm really proud of. It just seems like the lens on it is extremely high quality, and for the size and the portability, it's an incredible camera. And if you enjoy the rangefinder experience, I think it's also a very, very easy to use and fun to use rangefinder camera. As we were coming to the end of our hike in Kodachrome, we were going out to the spot called Panorama Point. Obviously, we had to stop. If there is a panorama point, you can guarantee that we are going to go find it and to photograph it. So as we were heading out to Panorama Point, the day was kind of getting on, and it got so insanely windy out of absolutely nowhere. It made for a very chaotic stop at Panorama Point, but I think that we still managed to get some nice imagery out of it. A big topic of conversation at the time was if you're going to be in the path of the annular eclipse. We ironically were very, very close to being in the path of totality for this annular eclipse. So we decided to go find a primo viewing camp spot. It is a spot that we have stayed before. It's on this gorgeous bluff overlooking all of these really deep sandstone canyons that you can hike down into. There's no specific trails, but when hiking on sandstone, it's kind of fun just to explore in any direction. So our friends Krista and Limburg joined us.
Good job, Krista.
Thanks.
Then on the day of the actual eclipse, we all pulled out our chairs, got our multitude of cameras all set up, and just waited for the annular eclipse. Krista and Limburg have 2 dogs named Stella and Kaya. They are the sweetest, best girls ever. I joke that I am their aunt. When we got Boo, it was very imperative that we introduce them very early on to each other so they could really become friends. And it was really cool to see that kind of friendship bud at camp over the course of the fall when we were together with Carissa and Limburg. Everybody seemingly is the same size. Everybody just seems to move at the same speed. And we were very impressed with how well everybody got on with each other. Wow. What a view. In the spirit of state parks that we have overlooked for too long, another one that we had our sights set on was Goblin Valley. When we put it into Google, it gave us these insane directions, and ultimately the directions took us down a 4x4 road. Thankfully, we came inherently prepared, but it ended up being this crazy rowdy drive to get into a state park. But it was so funny because all we did was just like cut off a couple miles of pavement and took probably 4 times longer to do it. We took it with good spirits and had a great time driving to the park. And the more I think about it, I'm realizing that this is the first real 4x4 road that we maybe have taken the new truck down. And it's always so fun to just realize that our truck is so much more capable than our nerves are. It did fantastic. And I am not in the least bit surprised. Sadly, we parted ways with Carissa and Limburg at Goblin Valley. They were needing to head on, and Owen and I were wanting to kind of linger in the area. Apparently, this entire trip was just us tending to unfinished business because we had yet another area that we have wanted to go to for a very long time, and it's just a remote section of Canyonlands. The hike that I had been wanting to do out in that section of Canyonlands goes out to just a really unique pictograph panel. We are both very big fans of Native American art. What was so alluring about this particular panel is that a lot of the figures are human-sized. They're kind of can be described as these shadowy characters. I think that there has been a lot of speculation as to what this particular pictograph panel is depicting, the figures are very, very unique to this area, and the scale is another thing that is quite interesting about them. I just really enjoy envisioning the type of people that are hardy enough to be out there and knowledgeable enough to be out there. After that hike, we were looking to relocate and find a new spot to camp at, and Owen had found one that he was intrigued by. So we went out to it, and we could see from a distance that somebody was there, but we just needed to, first of all, get to a spot where we could turn around. But it's also just nice to know for our knowledge, like what it was that we were missing out on, so we can save it for future reference. And so we decided to drive out and continue out to this point where this camper was. We're just going to pop out, look at the view, and turn around and leave. That is the plan, I swear to you. And side note, it was an overlook, not just a camp spot. So we pop out of the car, and I am holding 2 cameras because they had been in my lap. And I go to turn around, and the man in the camper is standing in the doorway, butt naked. And I am holding 2 cameras, which is so incriminating. So I look across the car at Owen. I was like, Owen, there's a man in the camper and he's naked and I am holding 2 cameras. You must diffuse this situation, because I was just like not trying to make anybody feel a certain way. Anyways, by the time Owen came around the car, the guy was gone into his camper. So needless to say, we didn't hang around. 0 pictures were taken, but we did note it as a really nice camp spot and decided to turn and leave. And I just think that it's so great that people can find space out in the middle of nowhere to truly be themselves. Frankly, I admire it, and I really feel bad that I showed up guns a-blazing with a bunch of cameras. Turning south, we wanted to hit one of our favorite camp spots. It has a very epic view. And from that camp spot, it gave us a really good opportunity to circle back for a hike that I have done, but Owen unfortunately has not had the opportunity to do. It was just really cool to circle back to something that completely blew my mind, and to be able to witness Owen having his mind blown, because that spot is so epic. Over the years, we have had the pleasure of seeing a lot of different Native American dwellings in different parts of the country. And what makes this one in particular so special is its really unique landscape that it's set into. A lot of times they're in caves or kind of hollowed out sections under cliff ledges. But this one is so special because it is out on this narrow fin, and it's so obvious why it was chosen as a location for a dwelling. It's because it was fortified on all sides, and if anybody was going to come into your home, you would only have to worry about this one very small, narrow section of sandstone that connects you to the rest of the world. And it's just this little island in the sky. Truly unique. Very, very beautiful. I feel very lucky to have seen it in person now. Twice. After the hike, it was time for us to get moving. We had to make our way out to the California coast pretty quickly because we were heading home for the holidays. And we decided to take some time before flying out and get a camp spot on the coast at Doheny State Beach to have a couple of days of surfing before we flew out. I think we have had kind of a little bit of a renaissance as far as what we deem as acceptable camping. When Owen and I first fell in love with the road, we were just on a road trip post-college, and we didn't know that there was a such thing as public land and that you could stay on it for free. You just had to know how to find it. And so that whole trip we paid for camping. And camping's expensive. It can add up. And so I think that when we hit the road this most recent time, if that's what you want to call it, I mean, it was in 2016. I think that we just had this, we were very anti-paid camping because we're like, oh, we spend so much money on camping and we didn't have to. But I think that we took it too far in the other direction, and we have like refused to pay for camping for the longest time unless absolutely deemed necessary. But we're coming back around. We've come to realize that some paid camping, you pay for it because it gives you access to something that you otherwise wouldn't have access to. And in this case, we got showers. We had really easy walking access to town. We were able to go out to dinner. And then we were able to camp like right on the beach and just like drag our surfboards out every morning and surf for literal hours a day, because that is what I did. It has been really fun having a cat again. I think that cats are they're such funny and weird creatures. And it seems like our cats are always just very weird. Probably a cat thing. But I just love that they're there to kind of fill all of the little moments in life with a lot of comedic relief and entertainment. Obviously, there's some additional hurdles that have to be dealt with, but I think that all of that is worth it. I think that we make sacrifices for the things that we love in our lives, the things that bring us joy, and having Boo along for the ride has very much been a source of joy for us. So we're happy to have her. This last year has probably been one of the best years of my life. Did a lot, saw a lot, I feel like accomplished a lot. Yeah, I've been very happy. If you enjoyed this video, you should consider liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube channel, because we'll be making more things just like this. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the road.